Okay, so hello and welcome, and thank you for joining me. And my name is David, and I'm presenting. I'm going to show you how to use acceptance commitment therapy concepts to empower yourself and others to begin to live happier and more fulfilled lives. The lesson plan will focus on helping you apply ACT therapy concepts to comprehend and teach others how to move away from negative thoughts and feelings to move towards what is important to them through taking committed action. The learning outcomes is identify specific ACT methods that clients can use when faced with crisis, determine what ACT method is appropriate for specific types of crisis, and show clients how to use ACT methods ongoing after counseling sessions. And ACT is acceptance commitment therapy. And what that is, it's a therapy that works with addressing experimental avoidance. Like a lot of times when something we struggle with, we avoid. Like addiction, things that we're feeling bad about, being trauma, or when bad things happen to good people, that it attempts to control unpleasant thoughts and feelings, but they don't work, because the more we try to control things, the more out of control they become. And so the goal of ACT therapy is to increase psychological flexibility, contact with the present moment, and be a fully conscious human being. To be in the here and now, to be able to be who I am, to express myself. And ACT aims to create a full, rich, and meaningful life while accepting unpleasant thoughts and feelings that are inevitably going to happen. So it's, even though we go through trauma, even though we go through frustration, even though bad things are happening to us, we can still have rich, full, and meaningful lives. And that's what attracted me to ACT therapy last year. And I've been studying it and really involved with it, and I use it with my clients at work. I have them, especially with addiction, I have them think about all the things that they're struggling with and all the things that they numb and they avoid and they struggle, but I'm teaching them that you can still have rich and full and meaningful life beyond what you struggle with. And so actually what I like is, it's research has shown that ACT therapy improves the quality of life for those of us that experience unpleasant thoughts and feelings by reducing disability, depression, and anxiety. So it's something that has been research backed, that this really works, that when you feel overwhelmed and you feel upset and you just want to numb and go away, that if you continue to embrace and accept and move forward, that you can overcome. And that's why I like so much ACT therapy. And so what I want to do is, since we're going to spend some time together, I thought that we would connect a little bit with each other. And so I want you to say your name, and each of us has like meaning of our name. And so I'd like for you to say how you got your name, and then on this beach ball, what I'd like for you to do is write a word that, in your view, ways to try to cope with the things that happen to you that are uncontrollable. So what I say is, my name is David, and I'm named after my mother's maiden name, Davidson. And what I wrote was stuffing, because a lot of times when bad things happen, you stuff it inside, you don't share it, you don't verbalize it. It's kind of, even in group today, I was talking to someone, and I said, how do you get out your bad feelings? I said, and you get it out, but you stuff it in a beach ball. And so I'm going to pass this around, and if you could share your name, how you got your name, and write something of how some people manage their pain. Or if a pastor would like to start.
Well, my name is Ming Lee. I got the name from my dad, meaning I think it's meaning right. And how I related to the beach ball, I think I found some people they have the frustrated, they become so quiet and try to avoid people.
Yes, thank you. Oh, the word that, like stuffing, so it would be, it's okay to say to write your name too on it.
Avoidable.
Yeah, avoidable.
My name is Hilda. That's my dad give me the name. This Hilda. This name is Pearl.
Pearl.
That's it. And if something happens that's not feeling, I always talk shit. I never keep it. I always talk shit.
You get it out.
Yeah.
Good, that's a good thing.
Sure.
My name is Yin Yin. It means cloud. It's like cloud in the sky.
Mhm.
And I don't know why my mother gave me that name, but I think they have purpose because when they put my name is like cloud, so I've never been at home. I always like cloud. Like with the wind blow and cloud is go and we go. I think, and I before like I think my patient.
Mhm. So the word is that when someone struggles with keeping things,
Yeah, I'd be a good listener.
listener, okay. So that's a good coping skill, just like talking it out is a good coping skill.
Oh, okay. like before, yeah. My friend is like, when they got sharing with me,
Uh-huh,
I always be a listener.
okay. So that's a very good. Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Isaac, and I don't know my father. I've never asked my father why he gave me the name Isaac,
Uh-huh.
but it means laughing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, from the Bible.
Yes.
And what else?
Like how do you see people deal with adversity, with things that go wrong, that they struggle with? Some people stuff it, some people run away, some people avoid.
For me, if I have a problem,
Mm-hmm.
it's like a fighting. I have to fight.
Oh,
And,
fight or flight, yes.
Yeah, fight back. To solve the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And then I like to be quiet, silent, to see how I resolve the problem.
Okay. Thank you, very good.
All right.
My name is Sinta. I think it's my father like that name as an Indonesian name for me, but it's not the name that I was born with. I think it's derived from the name that I was born with. It's Sin, so it's Indonesianized to Sinta. I think, but Sin in itself is meaning like something that smells fragrance, not necessarily flower, but like a good news like that, that smell, smell beautiful like that.
Okay.
So when I faced with like unpleasant thoughts
Mm-hmm.
or problem, usually what I do is I kind of slap it off, or put it aside, and tell myself, stop the answer.
Okay. Thank you. And Ms. Young?
My name is Yang, and I think my parents give me that name because even in the Chinese name, it's a smell nice.
Mm-hmm.
And the way some of the people, I think, when they cope with the trauma or with the pain, sometimes they think like a daydreaming, about the opposite of what happened.
Yeah.
Like when they disappointed with something bad, they
Mhm.
always they think of something good, like the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
They dream.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you. So the reason I use the beach ball is because there's a metaphor in act therapy, and a metaphor means symbolize something. And so it's interesting because at first my thing was I was going to talk about ways that we negatively try to solve our problems, but I thought it was really good that we also came up with positive ways. So some of the negative is stuffing, avoiding, daydreaming, could be positive or negative, and sharing, communicating is something positive, and a good listener, and fighting back, and shrugging it off. And so what happens, I say a lot to my group at work, is that what we do is when bad things happen to us, like I said, we get it out. But the beach ball gets bigger and bigger. And what they say is that we spend a lot of time holding it under the water. And it works for a little while, all the frustration, all the hurt, and what happens though, as it gets bigger, that it comes up at the worst times. I feel angry. Why do I feel angry? Because of stuffing. Last week, I had a disagreement with my boss. And so I explode on my wife. And sometimes it's bad things happen to good people, and we're not able to address it, and so it just stuffs inside. And so it's interesting that learning how to let it go and heal, and if we allow it to just be, and instead of getting so close to it, we back away and look at it, and we accept it for the way it is, then it becomes much easier. And it just floats. It doesn't pop, it doesn't get bigger. Actually, as we work on it, it gets smaller. And so, in the next couple minutes, I'm going to briefly explain the 6 core processes of ACT therapy, and we'll play an ACT metaphor called the uninvited party guest, and we will discuss the significance of the metaphor in application to everyday life situations. So, as I said, the first one is acceptance. Acceptance is the ability, once you've gained some distance from your sticky thoughts and feelings, to make space for them and do what is important for you to do, rather than giving up on your goals and engaging in actions aimed at reducing or changing your thoughts and feelings. So the opposite is avoidance. And that's what our pastor said was, a lot of times we avoid. Nobody likes to face problems. Nobody likes to face frustration. Nobody likes to face things that are difficult. We push it aside and avoid them. And the opposite is just to accept them. Let them be. Let it be here, and it's okay. And the second one is a big word, and I'll explain it, is cognitive diffusion. And that's what I was talking about. Cognitive diffusion is the ability to distance yourself from your thoughts and feelings so that they don't necessarily control your behavior. And the cognitive fusion, if you think fusing together, what happens is when you avoid something, what automatically happens? All you can think is about that situation. It becomes greater than it ever was, and you struggle with it. And so the third is contact with the present moment. And there's a lot of different theories about mindfulness. It's contact with the present moment is a process of noticing whatever shows up in the moment, not just your thoughts and feelings, but also bodily sensations, what you can perceive with your eyes, your ears, your touch, your sight, and whatever else may show up in the moment. And so, many times, bad things have happened to us in the past. And we get caught up with the past. And we allow the past to dictate our present and dictate our future. Because that's how I was, that's how I am, that's how I'm going to be. And so, contact with the present moment is saying, you know, the past is the past. Think about being in a car and you're driving and there's a windshield and you see what's coming up to you right now, but you look in the distance to prepare, but what is that little thing above your head? It's the what, honey?
The rear mirror.
Yeah, review mirror. Because what you do is you need to see what happened, but you're not dictated by what happened. It's not, if you drove looking behind you, then you would never get anywhere. You would get into an accident. Because so many of us live in the past. And that's part of being in the present moment, in the here and now. So you embrace today, you accept today for what it is, you look at it instead of look from it, because if something's in front of your face, that's all you see. But if it's far, then you can see other things, and you're not consumed and controlled by it. And the next one is self as context. Sometimes referred to as observer self. In the final process, this refers to the ability to step back and take a reflective perspective on what you think, feel, perceive, and do. So think of it as building again, accepting, and looking from, and being able to stay in the here and now, and not be defined by the situation. And just because bad things happen to good people doesn't mean you're a bad person. A lot of times I work with a lot of people that say, I'm a crackhead because I've used cocaine. And I said to him, no, you're a child of God that struggles with cocaine, but it doesn't define you. The first step is accepting I'm powerless over my addiction. My life has become unmanageable, but a power greater than myself can restore me to sanity. And so the whole concept is stepping back and saying, I'm not a crackhead. I'm a child of God. This is who I am. And I am not bound by making the same mistakes. I am free to make my own choices because I have a God that empowers me. And the next one is values. Are highly individualized, refers to how we choose and hold important the people, things, the way of being that matter to us in life. In our example, values would encompass why it's important to you, what makes a presentation despite your fear of public speaking. So, I heard the person who made up ACT therapy, he said that we all have a spiritual part, he said, in the back of our head, and what it is, he described it as our value of right and wrong. And so I think about, there's a lot of people that go aimlessly in life. They go from one decision to another. They don't have a purpose, a calling. One of the most famous books has been A Purpose-Driven Life, because finally we can say, I'm accepting to me. I'm a good person. I'm a child of God. God created me. And I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. And because I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, that I can step back and say, I am saved. I may be a sinner, but that doesn't define me. I am a child of God, that He loves me despite my inadequacies, despite my struggles. And I have values. I have a calling on my life. That's the thing about being, as a Christian, we can discover that I have a calling on me. God has a purpose. And when we find a purpose for our lives, then, as I said in the beginning, we have hope, we have direction, we have all the things that we're looking for, the joy, the peace, that we know this is my purpose for being here. And lastly, committed action. When we put all this together, when we have acceptance, saying, this is who I am in Christ, when we have removing back and being able to say, I am not defined by my actions, I'm defined by my calling, I'm not defined by my past actions. God loves me, has a calling on my life, and if I join Him in His work, that's where I find the satisfaction in this life. That's where I find the purpose in this life. And so, what I'd like to do is play a short video, and it's kind of like the uninvited guest, and it's the man has a party, and somebody crashes his party, but think about what the message might be trying to say.